Long before the first shiny coin was ever struck, people in the ancient land of Israel needed ways to trade. They did not have money like we do today. Instead, they used a system called barter. A farmer might trade a sack of wheat for a jar of olive oil. A shepherd could exchange a healthy sheep for a new clay pot or some woven cloth. This was a simple and direct way of getting the goods and services they needed to live. People had to agree on the value of their items. A strong donkey was worth much more than a single chicken. This system worked for thousands of years in villages and small communities all across the ancient Near East. As trade grew more complex, bartering became difficult. Imagine trying to trade a large ox for something small, like a loaf of bread. It was not practical to divide the ox. People needed something easier to use for buying and selling. This led them to use precious metals, especially silver. Silver was valuable, durable, and could be divided into smaller pieces. People would weigh out bits of silver on a scale to pay for things. The Bible mentions this many times. When Abraham bought a burial cave for his wife Sarah, he paid 400 shekels of silver. At that time, a shekel was not a coin. It was a unit of weight, about 11.4 grams. Using pieces of silver, often called hacksilver, was a big step forward. Traders could carry their wealth more easily than carrying herds of animals or large bags of grain. They would cut pieces from silver bars or jewelry to get the right weight for a transaction. However, this method still had its problems. Every time a trade happened, the silver had to be weighed carefully. There was also the issue of purity. Was the silver pure, or was it mixed with less valuable metals? A seller would have to trust the buyer, or they would have to test the metal themselves. This process could be slow and was not always fair. There was a clear need for a more standardized and trustworthy form of money. This system of weighing metal set the stage for the invention of coinage. The idea of a shekel as a specific weight of silver became deeply ingrained in the culture. It represented a standard of value that everyone could understand. When the first coins finally arrived in the region, they were a revolutionary invention. They solved the problems of weighing and purity because they were pre-weighed and stamped by an authority, like a king or a city, which guaranteed their value. This new technology would forever change the way people conducted business, and it would eventually allow the Jewish people to express their own identity in a powerful new way. The world's first coins were not made in the land of Israel. They were invented around 650 BCE in a kingdom called Lydia, in what is now modern-day Turkey. These early coins were small, bean-shaped lumps made of a natural gold and silver alloy called electrum. They were stamped with simple designs, like a lion's head, which acted as a guarantee of their weight and value from the Lydian king. Soon, powerful empires like Persia adopted this amazing new idea. The Persian Empire, which conquered the region in 539 BCE, introduced its own coins. These gold darics and silver sigloi became the common currency throughout their vast lands, including the province they called Yehud, the land of the Jews. The Persian kings allowed the Jews who had been exiled in Babylon to return to their homeland. Under Persian rule, the province of Yehud was allowed a degree of local control. For the first time, around the 4th century BCE, the Jewish authorities in Jerusalem were given permission to mint their own small silver coins. These were the very first Jewish coins known today as Yehud coins. They were tiny, often smaller than a modern fingernail, but their importance was enormous. These coins were a symbol that the Jewish people had a recognized status and some autonomy within the Persian Empire. They were a sign of a community re-establishing itself in its ancestral land. The designs on these early Yehud coins were very significant. Because of the Jewish prohibition against making graven images, the coins did not feature portraits of rulers. Instead, they used symbols that were meaningful to Jewish culture and acceptable under Persian authority. Some of the earliest coins showed a lily, a flower that grew in the region and was associated with Jerusalem. Others featured an eagle or a falcon, which may have been a symbol of the Persian government. Most importantly, many of these coins were inscribed with the name of the province in Aramaic or Paleo-Hebrew script, Yehud. This was a clear declaration of their origin and a proud statement of Jewish identity. As time went on, the designs evolved. Some later Yehud coins even featured a shofar, the ram's horn used in Jewish religious ceremonies, although this is a rare and debated design. Another fascinating coin from this period shows a lily and is inscribed with the name of a high priest, Yehezkiah the governor. These small silver pieces were more than just money for buying goods in the marketplace. They were the first tangible objects that combined the function of currency with the powerful expression of Jewish identity. They marked the beginning of a long tradition where coins would tell the story of the Jewish people, their faith, and their connection to the land of Israel. After the Persian period, the land was conquered by Alexander the Great, and the Hellenistic era began. Greek culture and currency became dominant. Large, beautiful silver coins showing Greek gods and rulers like Ptolemy and Seleucus were used everywhere. However, when the Seleucid king Antiochus IV tried to force Greek religion on the Jews, it led to a rebellion. This revolt was led by a family known as the Maccabees, or Hasmoneans. They successfully fought for and won Jewish independence around 164 BCE. The new Hasmonean dynasty needed to show the world that Judea was a sovereign state once again. One of the most powerful ways they did this was by minting their own coins. The Hasmonean coins were very different from the Greek coins they replaced. Instead of silver, they were almost all made of bronze. They also strictly avoided using human images, following Jewish law. In place of a king's portrait, they used symbols that represented their new state and their faith. The most common symbols were the double cornucopia, a horn of plenty symbolizing prosperity, with a pomegranate in the center. Other powerful symbols included an anchor, representing their control of the coast, and a star, perhaps symbolizing the new dawn of their kingdom. These symbols, combined with inscriptions in ancient Hebrew and sometimes Greek, declared their independence to all who used them. A few hundred years later, the land was under the firm control of the Roman Empire. Roman rule was often harsh and disrespectful of Jewish customs. This tension eventually exploded into a massive uprising in 66 CE known as the First Jewish Revolt. During this fierce war for independence, the Jewish rebels did something remarkable. They took control of the mint in Jerusalem and began striking their own magnificent silver and bronze coins. These coins were not just for paying soldiers, they were powerful pieces of propaganda. They were a defiant declaration of freedom from Rome. The most famous of these coins were the large silver shekels and half shekels. The coins of the first revolt were rich with meaning. The silver shekels were inscribed in ancient Hebrew with the words Shekel of Israel and the year of the revolt, such as year 1. On the other side, they showed a chalice, believed to represent a vessel from the temple, and the inscription, Jerusalem the Holy. The bronze coins featured symbols of the land's fertility, like a vine leaf, a palm tree, or an amphora. A second, final revolt was led by Simon Bar Kokhba in 132 CE. He also minted coins to declare a new era of Jewish freedom. He often took Roman coins and restruck them with Jewish symbols, like a depiction of the temple facade and the words, "For the freedom of Jerusalem." These coins were an act of rebellion in themselves, erasing the face of the Roman emperor and replacing it with a vision of a free Judea. After the Romans crushed the Bar Kokhba revolt in 135 CE, the Jewish presence in the land of Judea was shattered. The Romans renamed the province Syria Palestina to erase its connection to the Jewish people. With this defeat came the end of ancient Jewish coinage. For the next 1,800 years, the coins that circulated in the land would tell the story of foreign rulers and empires. During this long period, distinctly Jewish symbols like the menorah, the shofar, or Hebrew script vanished completely from the money people used every day. The land passed from one empire to another, and each left its monetary mark. The Byzantine Empire, which was the eastern part of the Roman Empire, ruled the land for several centuries. Their coins were overwhelmingly Christian in character. They were typically bronze or gold pieces, featuring the image of the ruling emperor on one side and a Christian symbol, most often a cross, on the other. For the Jewish and Samaritan communities that remained in the land, using these coins was a daily reminder of their status as a minority under Christian rule. The money in their pockets carried symbols that were central to the empire's power but alien to their own heritage. The voice of Jewish identity, once so clearly expressed on the revolt shekels, had fallen silent. In the 7th century, Arab armies conquered the region, bringing it under the control of Islamic caliphates. The early Islamic coins at first imitated Byzantine and Sasanian designs, but they soon developed a unique style. In keeping with Islamic tradition, these coins were purely epigraphic, meaning they used only writing and no images. They were beautifully inscribed with verses from the Quran and information about the minting authority and date. While these coins were artistic masterpieces, they represented another layer of foreign rule. the language was Arabic, and the messages were Islamic. Once again, the currency of the land bore no trace of its ancient Jewish past. This pattern continued for centuries. The Crusaders came from Europe and established kingdoms, minting coins that imitated local designs but often included crosses or images of Christian holy sites like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They were followed by the Mamluks from Egypt, whose thick silver and copper coins were decorated with intricate Arabic calligraphy and heraldic symbols like lions. Finally, the powerful Ottoman Empire ruled the land for 400 years, until 1917. Their coins, minted in places like Constantinople or Cairo, featured the Sultan's tughra, an elaborate calligraphic monogram, and were dated according to the Islamic calendar. Through all these empires the money changed, but one thing remained the same. The story told on the coins was not the story of the Jewish people. The long silence of Jewish identity on coins came to an end after World War I. The Ottoman Empire collapsed, and Great Britain was granted a mandate by the League of Nations to govern the territory, then known as Palestine. The British authorities recognized that the land had a diverse population of Jews, Arabs, and Christians. They needed to create a new currency that would serve everyone and acknowledge the main communities. In 1927, they introduced a new series of coins and banknotes. For the first time in nearly 1,800 years, the Hebrew language reappeared on the official currency of the land. The design of the British Mandate coins was a deliberate act of political and cultural balancing. Each coin was inscribed with the name Palestine in the three official languages of the Mandate: English, Arabic, and Hebrew. The Hebrew inscription was unique because it included the letters Aleph and Yud in parentheses after Palestine, Aleph Yud. These letters were an abbreviation for Eretz Israel, which means land of Israel. This was a significant acknowledgement of the Jewish people's historic connection to the land. For the Jewish community, seeing Hebrew on their money, even in this small way, was a powerful symbol of their renewed presence and national aspirations. The symbols chosen for the coins were also carefully selected to be neutral and representative of the land itself, rather than any one religious group. The British avoided portraits of their king, which was unusual for British currency, so as not to offend religious sensitivities. Instead, they chose designs that everyone could relate to. The smaller denomination coins made of bronze and nickel featured a sprig from an olive tree. Olive trees were, and still are, a common feature of the landscape and a symbol of peace and prosperity for all the inhabitants. The design was simple, elegant, and inclusive, reflecting the natural beauty of the region. The larger silver coins had a similar theme. They also featured the olive sprig design, emphasizing a connection to the land's agricultural heritage. The currency was named the Palestine Pound, which was divided into 1,000 mils. The coins came in denominations from 1 mil up to 100 mils. These coins circulated for 2 decades during a period of intense political change, immigration, and conflict. While they were a product of British colonial rule, the Mandate coins played a crucial role. They reintroduced Hebrew to the region's coinage and set a precedent for the multilingual and symbolic currency that would be created by the future state of Israel. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel declared its independence. The new nation immediately faced the challenge of creating its own institutions, including its own currency. At first, Israel continued to use British Mandate banknotes, but with an overstamp. However, it soon began to design and mint its own coins. The first series of Israeli coins was introduced in 1949. The name chosen for the currency was the lira, or Israeli pound, and it was divided into 1,000 pruto. The name pruta was a deliberate choice, harking back to the small bronze coins minted by the Hasmonean kings over 2,000 years earlier. This was a clear statement that the new state saw itself as a continuation of ancient Jewish sovereignty. The designs of these first coins were deeply rooted in Jewish history. To find inspiration, designers looked directly at the ancient coins of the Jewish revolts against Rome. An ancient coin from the first revolt, featuring a vine leaf and the inscription, "Freedom of Zion," became the model for the new 10 pruta coin. Another coin, showing an amphora, was used for the 25 pruta coin. A palm tree, a symbol of Judea on both ancient Jewish and Roman coins, was chosen for the 50 pruta coin. By using these powerful symbols, Israel was connecting its modern identity directly to the ancient struggles for freedom and independence. The new coins told a story of survival and rebirth. In 1960, the currency system was updated. The lira was now divided into 100 agorot. The new agora and lira coins continued the tradition of using ancient designs: a three-stringed lyre from a bar kokba coin, a date palm tree, and 3 pomegranates were among the symbols chosen. This series of coins was used for 20 years, but by the late 1970s, inflation was very high. The government decided to reform the currency once again. In 1980, a new currency was introduced, the shekel. The name was incredibly symbolic, reaching back not just to the coins of the first revolt, but to the biblical unit of weight used by Abraham. One new shekel was worth 10 old lirot. Unfortunately, high inflation continued. Within just 5 years, the shekel had lost much of its value. This led to another major currency reform in 1985. The new shekel was introduced, with one new shekel being worth 1,000 of the old shekels. This is the currency system Israel uses today. The coins of the new shekel series feature designs that continue to celebrate Jewish history. They include a lily taken from an ancient Yehud coin, a replica of a Hasmonean coin with the double cornucopia, and a harp inspired by a drawing found in a Judean cave. Each coin in an Israeli's pocket is a miniature history lesson linking the present day to a deep and ancient past. Beyond the coins used for daily transactions, the Bank of Israel issues special commemorative coins. These coins are works of art, minted in silver and gold, that celebrate the story of the nation in much greater detail. They are designed for collectors and for marking important moments in Israeli life. Each year, a series of coins is released to honor a specific theme. For example, there is a popular series called Biblical Art, which features beautiful engravings of famous stories from the Hebrew Bible, such as Noah's Ark, the Tower of Babel, and Jonah in the whale. These coins connect the modern state to its foundational spiritual texts. Other commemorative coins mark significant anniversaries in the nation's history. There have been coins celebrating milestones of independence, such as the 50th or 70th anniversary of the state. These often feature the national emblem, the menorah, alongside other patriotic symbols. Special coins have also been minted to honor Israeli achievements in science and culture, celebrating Nobel Prize winners or famous landmarks. There is also a series dedicated to the views of Israel, showing off the country's diverse and beautiful landscapes, from the deserts of the Negev to the green hills of the Galilee. These coins act as metallic ambassadors, showcasing the nation's heritage and accomplishments to the world. Looking back at the long journey of coins in the land of Israel, we can see a remarkable story unfold. It is a story that begins with weighing silver in a bustling Bronze Age market. It continues with the first tiny Yehud coins, a quiet but proud declaration of identity under a foreign empire. It bursts forth in defiance with the silver shekels of the Great Revolts, coins that were weapons of war as much as they were currency. Then comes a long, telling silence of 1,800 years when the money belonged to Byzantines, Arabs, Crusaders, and Ottomans, a constant reminder of lost sovereignty. The return of Hebrew on British Mandate coins was a flicker of hope. Today, the coins of modern Israel complete this circle. Every lira, shekel, and agora minted since 1948 is a testament to national revival. By consciously choosing designs from ancient Jewish coins, Israel has woven its past into the fabric of its present. The coins tell a story of a people's unbreakable bond with their ancestral land, their enduring faith, and their long struggle for freedom. They are not just pieces of metal used to buy groceries. They are tangible links in a chain of history stretching back over 3 millennia. They are symbols of resilience, identity, and the fulfillment of an ancient dream, small enough to hold in the palm of your hand.